What's up, everybody? Blaze here, and today I want to talk about something that I noticed on my second time watching The Umbrella Academy, seasons 1 and 2, and it really hit home for me on the third time watching it. If you saw the cover of this video and you saw the description, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this lady right here, a character that kind of shows up in multiple episodes, 4 to be exact, as an extra or a background character or a side character. And today I want to discuss if there's anything more to her presence or what we think might happen in season 3 or beyond, specifically related to this character, or if we think this character might show up in a future episode. So there's a couple things to note here. The first thing is that she is credited with 4 appearances in Umbrella Academy seasons 1 and 2. The 4 episodes that she's in are found on the IMDb website, as well as the actress's name, Heather Sanderson. The first episode that she was ever in was We Only See Each Other at Weddings and Funerals, the very first episode of the series. The second episode was Man on the Moon as Lady on the Bus. The third episode was The Day That Was as Lady who takes bus to rave, although I think what they mean is lady who was at rave. And then the fourth episode we see her in is The White Violin. The first time that I noticed her was as Lady on the Bus, in the episode where Klaus escapes being kidnapped from Hazel and Cha-Cha. On his way out, he finds a briefcase that he doesn't know what's in it. After opening the briefcase, he finds himself transported to the 1970s and the Vietnam War. However, before he opens the briefcase, he is sitting on a bus wearing only a towel, and across from him sits our person in question. He gives her a cheeky wink, and then she gives him probably one of the cutest smiles I've seen from any actress. He then is transported away, and that's that. That was the first time I think any of us noticed this character. However, the second time I noticed her was in the last episode of season 1, where our heroes of the Umbrella Academy rendezvous at the Superstar Lanes and discuss how to proceed after the Umbrella Academy building was destroyed. Our person in question approaches the group and asks number 5 if he would rather bowl with people his own age, to which 5 responds that he'd rather chew his own foot off. Comedy ensues, and then she kind of goes back to bowling with her son. And that was my probably my second run through of the show where I noticed that this character showed up multiple times. On my third run through of the show, I noticed her in the background of the very first episode where she was a hostage at the bank that the kids were saving as their first mission. And I thought, wow, she's in this show 3 times. She must be important, right? Later on, I believe it was in The Day That Was, we see her again at the rave when Klaus is trying to save Luther from having a good time, I guess. So we have several glimpses of this woman in multiple episodes, and it leads me to believe that maybe there's something more to her than what we know as of now. I do have a few theories, and really it's open for discussion, so let me know what you guys think, or if you have a theory about this woman, what her presence means in the Umbrella Academy, if we're going to see her again, or if you think she's just an extra background character. So as far as explanations or possible theories, I do have a few. The first one is probably the easiest one and the simplest one, and sometimes this most simple explanation is the correct explanation. But it's very likely that the actress Heather Sanderson, who is also in shows like Schitt's Creek and Imposters, is just a really, really big fan of the show, or a really, really big fan of Umbrella Academy in general. It's possible that maybe she knows the director or some of the writers, or just knows a lot about the show and wanted to have a hand or a part in its creation. I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities there as far as like behind the scenes kind of ways to incorporate this character into the show, but I prefer to believe that there's something more to it as far as the overall story of the Umbrella Academy. I'd like to believe that And I do have some other theories, but I'd like to believe that a character being in a show in the background in multiple episodes is one of those things that in a future episode they'll reveal this character to be important, and then they'll flash back to these different moments in the show where you did see her. I think that's going to be a great reveal if that's something that happens. It would be a cool thing to have this thing happening in the background that if you're not paying attention you wouldn't know about it, but the reveal makes it that much cooler because they planned it the whole time. So as far as other theories, the first one I came up with, and I can immediately debunk this, so don't jump the gun and say that I'm wrong, because I know this is wrong. But my first theory that I ever came up with on this, or one of the first ones, was that she was a ghost. If you watch the episodes that she was in, she only is seen in moments where Klaus is around. So, for example, on the bus, Klaus is the only character she interacts with right there. Later on, we see her at the rave, and she literally bumps into Klaus right then and there. The Superstar Lanes, she's there. Klaus is right there in one of those seats. And in the bank mission, it's assumed that Klaus is there. I don't remember seeing him in that mission. His power isn't necessarily something that's required or extremely useful for this type of a mission, but I'm certain he was there in some capacity. So I think that's one of the quickest theories to jump to. However, we can debunk this right away by saying that in the bank scene, her mouth and hands were taped. Her mouth was duct taped and her hands were duct taped together. I sincerely doubt that would be possible if she was a ghost, seeing as how the robbers wouldn't even be able to interact with her. So right then and there, it's debunked. Not to mention in the Superstar Lanes, she talks to Five, which is something that we don't see a ghost do, is interact with someone else up until that point. And maybe it's possible that Klaus was developing his powers and he didn't realize what he was doing at the time. So maybe it's possible that she could have spoken to someone else. But seeing as how the duct tape thing was in the very first episode, obviously she's not a ghost. But it was something I came up with and I wanted to at least talk about. Maybe you came up with it too. Maybe it's out there somewhere, but she's definitely not a ghost just because of those two things. But the other thing I came up with was it's very possible that she's one of the 43. We know that on October 1st, 1989, 43 children were born to mothers who were not pregnant the previous day. We know about 8 of those. I did another video earlier where I talk about some of the other powers that we've seen and some of the other characters that we know are part of the 43. But there are more out there, and it's very possible that she's one of them. I would in any other show, I could maybe debunk this theory by saying that she never aged, that she was the same age in the bank as she was, 20 years later at the rave. So in any other show, I would say, well, that's not possible because of that. But this show obviously has time travel, which was introduced in the very first episode. So we know it's very possible that she could be time traveling through different moments, which also brings up the idea that maybe she works for the Commission. The Commission did recruit number 5 to help out with maintaining the correct timeline. We also know that Diego was recruited and Lila was a part of the Commission as well. That's 3 of them already. So it's very possible that more of the 43 were recruited. The fact that she has a kid in the last episode is probably a good way to debunk this, that why would she have a child with her? It kind of throws a wrench in that idea, but it's not necessarily out of the question. She certainly could have brought a kid along with her, or maybe it is her kid. I don't know. There's a ton of ideas there. But yeah, very possible that she works for the Commission, and very possible that she is in the background trying to make sure that these events play out as they're supposed to. I started thinking about what power she could have if she was one of the 43, and it was kind of hard for me to figure out what power she might have. We don't really see her use anything or do anything. But something that came to mind was maybe that her power is a lot like the Oracle from the Matrix, where she has this ability to understand people and understand what people will do based on what you say or based on your interaction with them. It's almost in the way that the Oracle manipulated Neo into discovering he was the one by telling him that he wasn't the one, by telling him to know thyself, and that being the one is a lot like being in love. No one can tell you, you just feel it. And at one moment in the movie later on, he just feels it and he knows he's the one, and then boom, that's it. So I feel like she may have a very similar power in that she can suggest things to people, and the things that she suggests sort of manipulate people into doing what she needs them to do, and that she knows exactly what they're going to do by saying or doing something. This would be a very, very useful ability for the Commission in order to maintain the proper timeline, as she could just pop into different moments, say something or do something very subtly to ensure that the correct events play out. It's also very possible I am blowing this out of proportion and thinking way too much into it, but I think Umbrella Academy is one of those shows that, and even in the comics, where everything kind of happens for a reason, and I'm hoping that this character ends up being something very cool in the future. But if I had to say anything right now, I would say that she's one of the 43 and that we will see her again. We didn't see her at all in Season 2. I don't think we're going to see her in Season 3 because now we're dealing with a whole different timeline, which I'll talk about different timelines in a future video. But I do think that at the end of Season 3, this is just a hard prediction. I'm okay with being wrong about it. But I think at the end of Season 3, we could see her again, pop into the timeline that our heroes are in now, after they've resolved whatever arc Season 3 goes through. And then she says, I need your help to restore the proper timeline, or to fix something that happened in the past. And then maybe Season 4 is about our heroes working with her to fix a new threat. It doesn't seem like Season 3 is going to be about the apocalypse anymore, which is cool because they've already done that twice. But we'll see exactly how Season 4 goes. We got to get through Season 3 first, which is coming up soon and filming either now or very shortly. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know I've talked a lot, and I'm very curious as to hear what you guys think about this character. If she'll show up again, if she's important, or if she's just a background character that the writers threw in as an Easter egg, maybe for someone who is just a huge fan of the show. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for hitting like. Thank you for hitting subscribe. We'll have more videos up very shortly, and we'll see you next time.